Johnny Mescal was 7 years old, and the only family he had was his mother. His life was thrust into extremely difficult conditions by her untimely demise until something amazing happened to him. Welcome to USA Stories channel. Do not forget to subscribe and activate the bell button to receive all new updates. Now let's go to the story. In a quaint little country town, Johnny and his mother, Janice Moscow, shared a modest one-bedroom apartment. They had each other even if they didn't have many luxury in their lives. One of their favorite things to do together was take long walks across the countryside. The two of them would travel to a park close to their home virtually every day. Here, Johnny could play with his companions or the dogs of some of the other residents, and this was his happiest spot. Janice was a wonderful mother to her kid, kind and kind-hearted. She would gently toss or kick a ball till he was worn out. Subsequently, they would spread a blanket and relish a basic sandwich that seemed like to a royal feast to both of them. Nobody knows why such nice individuals are frequently struck by catastrophe. Janice worked at a neighborhood bakery. She could stroll there from their flat to work. Johnny would be looked after by a kind neighbor while Mom was at work. All day long, the youngster would watch the clock. He would go sit outside on the stairs at about 5 o'clock in the afternoon and wait excitedly for his mother to come back. He would sprint for her and put his arms around her waist when she would emerge around the corner at approximately 5:10. She would then take him up and swivel him around in the air, showing her daily pastry treat. Shortly after turning 7 years old on a Wednesday afternoon, Johnny was going about his usual business. He waited on the stairs that afternoon as usual, but his mother never showed. The police knocked on the door an hour or so later to tell the neighbors that Janice had been killed in a hit-and-run accident. Johnny found himself completely alone in the world in an instant. He had no family to support him and had never met his father. He lived with the old neighbors for a week, but the day following the burial he was taken to the nearby orphanage, something he had never dreamed would happen. At the orphanage, life was miserable. Because Johnny was little for his age, he was often picked on by bullies. This child frequently sobbed himself to sleep because he had lost the only person in his life who truly meant anything. His heart ached and did not grow any better with time. In fact, on certain days, it seemed to be becoming worse. He had just one wish for his mother to return. He wanted to see her if that was not possible. The lads would yell, "Cry, baby," if Johnny was feeling depressed. "Your mother is dead. Nobody still cares about you. We don't even like you in actuality." Though he didn't give a damn about the lad's feelings, Johnny objected to them mentioning his mother. He would battle with these bullies and would always come out on the losing end. To make matters worse, once the orphanage staff stepped in, Johnny was painted as the bad guy and received extra punishment for something he had not done. Sundays were Johnny's only day off. He would slip out to the cemetery where his mother was buried as the other kids were making their way to the church. He would sit there and speak with her for almost an hour. His week was at its peak around this time. Having only one true love, his mother, he felt at least somewhat connected to her. He used to tell her every Sunday, "Mommy, I miss you so much. Once more, I want to be with you. Would you kindly come fetch me?" He would then cover his emotions, lay a little wildflower on her grave, and slink back into the group as they made their way back to the orphanage from church. He was returning to his mother's cemetery about a year after her passing. He was only existing at the orphanage, though he had partially adapted to life there. There was little joy in life and little hope for improvement. He had kind of become used to the bullying, but now more than ever he just wanted his mother to come get him. "Mom, life is really hard for me here," he said at the end of their morning discussion after he had shared his concerns with her. "Please, take me to be with you. I implore you." Then, while he was sitting there sobbing quite uncontrollably, he became aware of a presence behind him. He turned back, wiping his eyes, believing that he had finally been discovered for missing church and that he was now in big danger. He was shocked to see a stunning woman standing there. The girl said, "Why are you so sad, little boy?" The light shining from behind her gave her an almost angelic appearance. It took Johnny a few moments to compose himself and answer her. "My mother has passed away. I'm really missing her," Johnny remarked. The woman extended her arms and hugged Johnny tightly. She questioned him about his life as they sat there facing the tomb. She was interested in learning about his father, his residence, and whether he had any other confidants except his mother. She continued by telling him about her life. A weird sickness had claimed the life of her own small kid almost 2 years prior. She missed him every day, even though he would have been 9 years old by now. Walking together to her son Stephen's grave, they both shed a tear for him. She identified herself as Luis before they said their goodbyes. They both decided to get together in the cemetery the next Sunday. That day, Johnny couldn't keep track of the time and was thus detected missing church. Luis waited in vain for Johnny the following Sunday, believing that something had to have kept him away. She went back there for the next 2 Sundays, but the youngster was nowhere to be seen. Luis dreamed that Sunday night. In her dream, Stephen, her adored, came to her. Leading her by the hand to his bedroom, where his toys and clothes were still unopened, he showed her around. Then he turned to face his mother, opened the closet, grabbed his best basketball, and declared, "Mommy, it's time." Then he extended the ball toward her, but no sooner had he placed it in her grasp than it vanished. In the middle of the night, Luis woke up. This was no typical dream. There had to be a deeper significance that she had not yet uncovered. She told her husband Michael about the dream she had the next 4 nights. There was a small twist on the 4th night that made sense to her. Her son morphed into the youngster from the park as he turned to give her the ball, but the dream remained precisely the same. Luis was very excited for the sun to come up the following day. That evening, she and Michael had decided on something. A remarkable event was going to transpire. Their sole goal as they traveled to the orphanage at first light was to locate young Johnny. The youngster Luis and Michael were searching for sat by himself under a tree in the corner. As they approached the orphanage's gates, with a little stick in the sand, he was sketching with his head down and his shoulders hunched forward. "Stop the car!" Michael was yelled at by Luis. She leaped out and went for Johnny as soon as he stopped. He heard footsteps approaching and glanced up, standing up just in time to see Luis take him up, swivel him around in midair, and cradle him to her bosom. Her eyes were overflowing with tears. Michael, meantime, had parked the car and sat beneath the tree with his wife and the young child. She cried and said, "Johnny, would you want to come home with me and Michael? If it's okay with you, we would like to adopt you. I would adore becoming your mother." A week later, Johnny went home with his new parents, but the remainder of the narrative was just the formalities of adoption paperwork. For one other, Luis and Johnny were the fulfillment of their dreams. Johnny had the impression that his mother had heard his pleas and granted him a second opportunity at life with a devoted mother and a wonderful father. Luis, on the other hand, was aware that Johnny would make up for the void left in her heart by the passing of her beloved Stephen. It's all good that ends well. Please remember to subscribe to our channel, give us a thumbs up, and turn on the notification bell so you won't miss any of our videos. If you enjoyed the tale, the next video that plays on your screen will probably move you too.